Update 8.8 for World of Tanks Blitz has been released, and with the update we have a brand new map called Holland. You'll notice just from looking at the size of this map that it is now the largest map in the entire game, which is quite ridiculous. Now, in certain circumstances, bigger is better, but when it comes to map sizes in Blitz, I don't think that's the case. I've played on this map about 3 or 4 times with my AMX-30B. I've been using a fast tank so I can explore medium side. Heavy side's pretty self-explanatory, but medium side has a lot of different avenues that you can try and work, and I think I figured out the best ones. We'll be talking about all of them in today's video. But the biggest thing I've noticed about a larger map that causes some real issues is the 7 versus 7 format. I talked about this on my original video breaking into this map. You only have 7 tanks on your team, and usually there's about 2 or 3 heavy tanks. You've got 1 or 2 mediums if you're lucky, and then a tank destroyer of 2 on your team. And it's obviously mixed match in that, but it's very rare to get more than 2 medium tanks. And judging that Wargaming's matchmaking kinda sucks, if you get stuck with less mediums than the enemy team, you're at a major disadvantage. Because this map is so large, spotting and mobility are extremely key, especially if you can defeat the enemy mediums and then just capture bases in supremacy and hold out. I mean, you'll easily win the battle. That's how I actually won a couple of my games. And even if you're in a heavy and you manage to win heavy flank, the amount of time it takes you to get from heavy side over to medium side, deal with the tank destroyers, or just try and catch the mediums, this is a really, really painful map. The new T100LT with its spotting mechanic is absolutely insane on this map, and it will definitely be, unless they change that spotting mechanic in the future. I just personally feel that this map is a little bit too large for Blitz. Maybe just take out the center part with the windmills and then just slap the bridge right over towards mid. I think that would make it a lot better, a lot simpler for medium side and heavy side, but that's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments down below. But with opinions aside, let's talk about what are the best positions for this map. And let's keep it simple. Let's start off with the tank destroyers. Now, I've noticed 2 really good spots. Unless you're in like a hull down TD, like a Badger or an E3, we're going to be talking about, actually sitting at the back of the map with Ho-Rees, grills. This spot here is absolutely fantastic. You can shoot almost all of medium side. Any tanks that try poking this spot or over here by the bridge, under the bridge, you have easy shots into. You can also shoot right across into medium side. If anybody tries poking that rock there, you got very easy shots into that position. And as well, anybody that pushes right over towards the base capture on supremacy is gonna be shot. This bush here is also the same on the other side of the map. You can see right there. 2 extremely powerful positions that I will 100% be using almost all of my tank destroyers in. Other spots that are really good, well, you've got a bush right here, and this is again the exact same on the other side of the map. It's that bush right there. These 2 bushes are also very, very strong. You can completely cover the center of this map, and any mediums that try pushing up are going to be shot. Now, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can work one of the bushes up here. Maybe if you're in a 113 GFT or an Object 268, you want to push aggressive. This isn't too bad of a spot, but I find this more effective for a medium tank or a light tank to sit, try and get spots out early on, and figure out what you're going to do from there. Definitely a tank destroyer position is this pillbox. If you're in a medium or light tank on the enemy team, I would highly suggest to blind fire these bushes, because you'll have a pretty decent chance of actually shooting a tank destroyer. Now, when it comes to heavy route, if you're running a TD, really the only tank destroyers I can see very viable for this side of the map are vehicles like the E3 and the Badger. And the only reason I would say that is because you can drive the E3 or Badger over to these little hull down berms here, just like on Himmelsdorf, and kind of hide your lower plate. Because apart from that, there really isn't much hiding you're going to be doing on this part of the map. I guess you could sit in this bush over here, but I really don't think that you're going to get away with all too much pushing a tank destroyer heavy side on this map. I would highly urge you to sit towards medium side. Speaking of mediums, now we're going to say let's pull out an STB-1 or an AMX-30B. You're going to drive all the way down this road, and as I said, this initial bush here is great to get spots out on any aggressive players. If the enemy team has a T100LT that thinks it can get away or bite off a little bit more than it can chew, sitting in this bush will give you fantastic spots all over this area. And then once you feel a little bit more aggressive, let's say you're in a hull down tank, then you can easily push up to this hill here and work hull down. But again, you got to be very, very cautious, because if you poke here, you have have a very good chance of being shot. In fact, I was playing against a 4005, and that guy sat right in that bush and peppered me every time I tried poking here. And even if you poke this corner, you will also be shot by that position. So yeah, medium side has some really big threats if the enemy tank destroyers know what you're doing. And it's not like you can poke this corner and you'll be covered, because again, that bush completely sees you. And even if you poke over here, you are still shot at by this bush, and you're also clear line of sight for that spot. So yeah, mediums have it really, really tough, but if you can win medium side, you have an absolutely fantastic working position. So what I would suggest to do is stay back at the beginning, stay over here, wait for the enemy mediums to make an aggressive move. And once you know what's going on, either bait the mediums and force them to push onto you, getting your tank destroyer shots, or just be very, very careful when poking this hill, and make sure that when you are poking it, that this building is completely covering you from the tank destroyers, because you will definitely regret it. So yeah, you got to be very careful. But apart from that, I really don't see too many other positions you would want to put your medium tank. I mean, I guess you could go over towards the windmills, but I haven't done this personally. There's not many shots you're going to get off unless you're trying to shoot at people over here, but you can just capture the base, and that's really the end of it. If you can capture the base on medium side and supremacy, yeah, it's not going to be super fun. In counter, I can see this position working a lot more, but I definitely think that mediums, you want to play towards the corner of the map. And when it comes to heavies, it's a pretty simple role. Now, you could push heavies to this position here, but I really don't think that's going to be the case. When it comes to a lot of players that don't understand a lot of map positioning, putting yourself in this position, unless you're in a really good hull down heavy, like a Chieftain Mark 6, I would more suggest just to go into town. I would expect a lot of heavies, super heavies, to be playing towards town. If you're in a mobile tank, let's say like a 5A or an IS-7, you can easily push up to these berms here, hide your weak lower plate, and you'll be covered easily. And that's also the case for the other side of town. If you work a little bit more in, you've got more berms here and on the other side, so you should be fine on that part. These bushes are okay to work, but I really wouldn't suggest to use them unless you're in maybe a tank destroyer. I'd just suggest to get up to an aggressive position, try and hold. I have not personally played a heavy yet on this map, but it's a pretty self-explanatory position. If you're in a really mobile heavy, what I would suggest to do is drive straight over here and get into this hull down position. If you can get down here and you can actually work this spot, you'll have easy shells on the enemy team, especially if you can get like an IS-7 down here or a 60 TP. But I'd obviously suggest to wait a little bit, maybe get into this spot, work this building, just in case the enemies tried to do the same thing. You obviously don't want to run into a whole team of tanks that are trying to do what I just said. If you are in more of a slower heavy, you want to use your armor, this spot here is really good. This is probably where I'm going to be positioning my tanks a lot. Sure, I think the inner road's nice, but I definitely think that this road right here will be my go-to position. I can sit here, the berm's high enough that I can hide my lower plate on almost any heavy tank, and if the enemy team decides to push towards the inner road, then I can just drive into town here, and I can use this little fountain to hide my lower plate, or obviously side scrape off of the buildings. It'll be fine. I think that town is very similar to Himmelsdorf, so if you know how to play in that map, you'll pretty easily play on this side of the map as well. This should hopefully cover a lot of the positions in this game. There's a couple other spots for tank destroyers, like you could sit a tank here, and I think this is an okay position, but you really won't get many shots off towards the medium side. If you're in a tank destroyer on this map, you shouldn't be focusing on the heavies, and you really should be focusing on medium side. As I already said, mediums have such a powerful prowess on this map, so I would highly suggest to do that, but that's my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think about this map in the comments down below. But yeah, I think it's just a little bit too big for Blitz, but that's my personal opinion. I can't wait to see how this map plays in tournaments and in the future of the game. This will definitely be a really good tournament map, but I don't know about pubs. We'll have to find out. Hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. If you learned something and this helped you out on positioning, please let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.